What is going on out there, everybody? Episode 2 of the All Around Sports Podcast with your host, Jim McAllister. What great feedback we have gotten about episode 1. Thank you all so much for listening, enjoying the podcast. It has been so much fun to do. It's been so much fun to just share this all with the world and just really get a feel for how this is going to look, how this is going to feel, how this is all going to take shape. And it's been amazing. It's been so much fun. Really has been. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, the best is yet to come. Because in the weeks and months, we're going to have more guests. We're going to talk to more people. Today, we're going to introduce my co-host, somebody you're going to be hearing prominently on this show, a man I affectionately call my nephew. Nicholas Grasselli is going to join us today. Also, my main man, a guy that has no reason to be as nice to me as he is, but honestly, he is such an amazing person and somebody that I really look up and respect so much in this business. Pete Hoffman, the producer of the BT and Sal show on WFAN, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. He joins us today, and I can't wait to share that conversation with all of you. It was such a great time to talk to him and just really, he was so great, and it was just so much fun to do. And also, I want to just thank again Jerry Recco for joining me on the very first episode. He was a gentleman. He was somebody that, again, took a chance on me, but he didn't have to. And he really is truly a great person. And I'm going to be meeting him on August 19th, and I can't wait to do so because, again, he's just an unbelievable guy. Really is an unbelievable guy. All right, we got some stuff to talk about. NBA free agency you're going to hear a lot about on this show. We're going to hear talking about MLB, the Mets, the Phillies, everything else in between. We're going to be talking about quite a bit of stuff, and I'm going to be happy to do it. Share it with all of you, my all-around army. You guys are unbelievable. Thank you all so much for all the great feedback. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all that you are due for me, my family. It's amazing. It's been truly an honor and a privilege to share this with all of you. And we're just going to keep dropping these things twice a week, man. It's going to be so much fun doing it, too. Again, without further ado, we're going to talk to Pete Hoffman. Amazing guy. Then after that, we're going to talk to Nick Grasselli, my co-host. Affectionately call him Robin and my Batman. That's my guy. And we're going to talk about our sponsors. Jump Shot Gym, the one-of-a-kind basketball training facility located in Hillsborough, New Jersey. 8 hoops and the Dr. Dish shooting machines. Get the reps you need to build a consistent jump shot. Visit jumpshotgym.com. That's right, jumpshotgym.com. Build your consistent shot, okay? Get the info you need on shooting clinics, camps, and parties. Once again, jumpshotgym.com. Also, Brazina Home Improvements. Looking for any general contractor repair need? Please contact Brazina Home Improvements for a free estimate at 609-581-5848. For any contracting repairs, if you're looking to do for your home or business, once again, that number is 609-581-5848. All right, guys, without further ado, I can't wait to share this. This is going to be so awesome. Pete Hoffman joins the show, guys. Let's go! All right, guys, we're back here on the All Around, and my guest at this time, this man, let me tell you something, was so kind with his time, so generous with me. I can't thank this man enough. His just, willingness to give me a chance. And honestly, that means more to me than anything. He is the producer of the Midday Show with Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on WFAN. He is the co-host and producer of the Rico Bronya podcast with Evan Roberts, which I got to be honest with you, is one of my favorite podcasts to listen just because, you know what I mean? Like the way they're going right now, unbelievable. And he also produces the Giants games for WFAN. Ladies and gentlemen, Pete Hoffman is on the show. What is going on?
Jim, thanks so much for having me, man. This is awesome. It's an honor to be on with you, man. Once you have reached out, I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. So I'm looking forward
Dude,
to having a good time, man.
thank you. I mean, honestly, thank you so very much for doing this. And listen, not to mention, this man also does overnight shows on WFAN on the weekends. So he gets like zero sleep on Friday nights. So this man is dedicating his life to give you a good show overnight and taking away his Friday night. So thank that man very much for that.
Listen, it's an honor to be on air. It's you, and you understand it being in this, been doing your podcast. This is besides my family is the best part of my life. I mean, it's so much fun.
Oh, dude, I can't agree with you more. Obviously, you know what? Listen, our family trumps everything that we do. But to be able to kind of sit here and talk to you and just kind of hang out, have fun, shoot the breeze a little bit, just about, more or less just life and things that go on. That's what it's all about. So listen, man, the first thing I got to ask you, okay, what is your, I guess, fondest memory as a child of being a sports fan and just how you kind of got in and how it all evolved and where you are now?
So I mean, the first thing I think this is a lot of kids is going to baseball games with their parents. Like my father used to take all the kids. I mean, I have an older sister, younger brother, um, and we would just go to Mets games a lot because I was a Met fan. My sister was a Yankee fan because my mother's side of the family were all Yankee fans. My father's side all Mets fans. So we'd go to Yankee games too. But we would just have so much fun. And like I loved being at the ballpark. It was just like it was a joy. I wouldn't want to leave. I'd be that kid that was there till the last out, whether it was raining, whether we were down by 7 runs. I'd be screaming, I'd be yelling at, the worst. I'd be Greg Jeffries hit a home run for me, make my day. Anthony Young, could you win a game? Whatever it is. But like
Oh,
I'd be screaming out there. So like those are the memories that I really have about going to Shea Stadium, going to Old Yankee Stadium, being in those like environments. It just was so cool. And again, going to games when we were younger, you remember this.
of
There was no
course.
phones, there was no nothing.
Oh,
So you were just locked into what was going on. And it
absolutely.
just amazing experience, man.
Uh, it's funny. It's funny you bring up like going back to like old games and things like that. I was telling my boys the other day about Shea Stadium, right? Because they've never been. I mean, obviously, they're younger. So I was explaining to them when I was their age going to Shea Stadium what that was like and what that experience was. And they see City Field, they see all the neon lights and all the bright that scoreboard and all this stuff. I'm like, nah. Like Shea Stadium was not all of that, but we loved it because it was our home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was kind of like, and I we just had David Wright on with BT and Sally a
Yeah,
day,
yeah, yeah.
and he'd said the same thing. It's like it wasn't the best stadium. It was kind of a crappy stadium, but it was our crappy stadium. It was kind of
Exactly.
it was awesome. Listen, I do remember like the not the holograms, but the neon
Yes,
figurines
I do.
on Shea Stadium. Like that was the signature feel of it.
Dude, it was so
But there was no real bleachers, but like we'd go to the bleacher section here and there, and it was like so crappy, but like it was cool because it was ours, and
exactly
it
right.
felt like a second home, you know.
Oh, 100%. And listen, we've been to tons of games there. I remember my first game was 1987. I was 6 years old. I went with my dad, my uncle, and my cousin. We went to go see the Mets and the Cardinals. I'll never forget this. Doc Gooden pitched, and my hero, Gary Carter, was behind the plate. So as a 6-year-old kid, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Gary Carter. And Dwight Gooden struck out Vince Coleman to start the game. And that was really the only thing he did the whole game. He got killed. Oh, they got killed. But listen, but that was my experience. And you know what? It's great because now like my kids are old enough to really experience that and appreciate that. And to see them now kind of see it through that lens from my perspective, it's unbelievable for me. It really is.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I see the same thing too. My kids, like, my youngest is so locked in. He wants to go. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's a Yankee fan, but he,
Listen,
he, but
it's not so bad, Pete, because you know what? At least your in-laws are not all Phillies fans like mine are. Okay.
oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm
See?
sorry.
Yeah. So you're out.
But
I'm out here literally on the borderline of New York and Philadelphia. So everybody is just either you're a Philly guy or a New York guy. And I'm kind of in the minority. And like I get it from all sides, from my wife's side of the family. Oh my gosh, they kill me.
No, it's brutal. Well, he the other day, this my youngest Anthony came to me about 2 weeks ago and was like, Dad, when are we going to Miami? I go, why do you want to go to Miami? He goes, I want to go to a Marlins game. I go, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I'm a Marlins fan now. So I'm like, the turn was unexpected
Right.
because not only was he a Yankee fan like a week ago, but
No.
and again, he's sick, so he's young, so he's
Yeah,
still
yeah,
trying to like experiment, whatever,
of course.
whatever it is. But listen, Jazz Chisholm is on the cover of MLB The
Yeah, the
Show,
Emerald.
so he's
Yep.
a fan of that. So, but he wanted to go. I took him to the Marlins game when they played the Mets. That was the one game that the Marlins won, so good for him. But it also started our
Yeah,
streak.
sure.
So
Oh, listen, you're not kidding. Listen, that day is special. You know what? Because whatever happened that day, they all got together in that locker room. Was like, this has got to end right now. And guess
yeah,
what? Since then, they've been unstoppable, man. Oh, how great! We got to talk about the Mets because
of
we just
course.
how great has the last 3 or 4 weeks been with this team, man? I mean, nobody saw this coming either, which is crazy.
So like Jim, like the one thing I will say is not saying that I didn't I never predicted that this would actually happen, that they'd go on this hot run and they'd be where they are right now. But I always believed that this team was capable of being above 500, like, nothing like 90, 100 win team. Not saying that, but close to like 85. That's what my prediction always was. So for me, the fact that they got here, I'm not shocked that they're sitting at 500 right now. Maybe it's more impressive because they went 15-4, and it's like, what the hell? Like that
Yeah,
that was crazy to be 11 games under 500. Are we turning into the Nationals in 2019? Like, because that's the thing, is like, I never thought they were special, but when you see what they just did and how it's like they're gelling, they're beating the crap out of these teams, good
they're
pitching.
bludgeoning teams, man. It's not like they're just winning these like close games here and there. They're killing dudes. You know what I mean? Like that. That's to me like the I guess the word I'm looking for here is like I'm shocked with this. You know what I mean? I'm not shocked that they're where they are at the 500 mark right now. I'm really not shocked about that. What I am shocked about is the fact how this offense looked so bad for so long. Now all of a sudden, here we are, and it's just one after the other. It's crazy.
But Jim, listen, this is the thing that people got to remember. And I've been preaching this for a while, so like I believe it, but I want other people to remember it. David Stearns is not taking crap first of all. Like, he's not going to sit around and wait around for Daniel Vogelback to figure out how to hit a baseball.
Pete,
If
I'm
you're not
so
hitting,
glad you're saying that, man. I really am. Honestly, like what I noticed was, yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. Day one, right? They got rid of Tonkin the minute he struggled, and they were like, he's gone. Like we're getting rid of him, and that to me set the tone for the entire season. Like, okay, they're not going to take any you know what from nobody. If you're not performing, you're gone. They got rid of Tomas Nido. You think that would have happened last year? He's out.
no,
Narvaez's out. They're all gone. And you know what? Good for them. Honestly, good for them that they're saying, okay, if you're not performing, go find somewhere else to go because we're going to get the guys in here that's going to perform. And if they perform for us, we're going to reward them. And that's the key. The key is Cohen has the money to do whatever he wants. So if you're going to produce for me, he's going to take care of you.
oh, no question about it. And again, like, I'm so confident with Stearns, it's stupid. And again, they haven't really done anything yet where it's like, oh, what a move. But just the fact that he's being proactive and not reactive. It's not like, well, I guess that we've lost a lot of games now. I guess we're going to sell everybody. No, it's like, dude, I want to be competitive this year. We're going to find a way to be competitive. But on top of that, too, so Stearns doing that, slash the fact that JD Martinez is finally here and being productive, and Francisco Alvarez came here and he's back. And Jose Iglesias, a guy who wanted to play baseball so bad, had an opportunity to say, you know what, I'm just going to hang him up. I'm not on the 40-man roster. Whatever, I'm done. No, he's here and he's brought a different like energy to this team. And I said it on I saw a video a few hours ago of the Mets getting together and celebrating that OMG song from
Yeah.
Jose Iglesias. And I said it, this is not a team, it's a movement. They have all connected together. Listen, they're all not going to be here come August 1st. There's some of these guys maybe traded. There's a possibility that McNeil's gone. There's a possibility that maybe Quintana's moved, maybe some of these other guys are moved around, maybe Marte if he ever becomes healthy, whatever the case is. Regardless, as a unit, as a whole, this team could do anything because of just how they're gelling right now.
You know what? I'm glad you brought up Alvarez too when you said that, because to me, he's the guy that kind of brought this whole thing together. You know, if you notice him, his mannerisms, like he's so positive out there. He's always just he's not chirping, but he's just engaged. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? He's starting to figure it out too. And a guy like JD Martinez, okay, 36-year-old veteran with a 22-year-old kid like Alvarez is just going to do nothing. He's going to soak all that in. He's going to get all that knowledge from JD Martinez. And the next thing you know, this kid's going to go from a great hitter to an even greater hitter. I mean, he's there now. You can see the tools. You know what I mean? And he's got the power. I love Alvarez. And you know what? He's going to figure it out, like, you know, with his throwing and everything. I think sometimes he gets a little too carried away trying to throw it on the first base, hang on to the ball a little bit, but that's just nitpicking stuff. But I see a guy in him that the pitchers love to throw to. Okay. And now that he's kind of linched in now behind Alonso in that 4 spot, I really like him there. Because you know what? He's going to get a lot of pitches to hit in that situation. I think the world of Alvarez. I always have. But now I feel like he's now that guy where, like, okay, I'm going to take the next step forward.
I love the lineup now. I'm actually like in love with it. Like I love seeing how it's getting stretched out. I love Lindor batting first, which I was begging for a while. I hated him being lead off. I'm sorry, but if you have a guy who's leading off and can't steal a base, it's as frustrating as anything else in the world. Like if you have a guy going station to station, then what is Lindor? Yeah, he's a first pitch hitter. Like he loves jumping on the first pitch, so that Nimmo's not going to be able to steal really because he's going to be waiting for him to swing. But it just screwed everything up because double plays galore. It's all this other stuff. Lindor is a much better base runner. I love that. I love Pete. I mean, listen, if Pete was back to 2 again, because he was sitting at 2 for a little bit, if he went back to 2, I'd be fine with that too. I like the length now. JD Martinez, Mark Vientos. And again, another link of JD Martinez is the fact that he's teaching these guys like Mark Vientos how to hit the baseball. I said that no matter what, JD Martinez would have been a positive to this team because they do have these youthful guys. Even a Brett Beatty, that's a youthful guy. If he comes up here, he can teach him a thing or two. He's like a secondary hitting coach. I love Eric Chavez, but JD Martinez can also do that on the field, and he's there and he's active. I think it's just it's really that was a key piece to this team. It's unfortunate that he had to start late.
I didn't see the Vientos thing coming. I mean, I really didn't. I mean, we saw
Nobody
him.
did.
Yeah,
Nobody did.
yeah. I mean, we saw him for 2 years, and yeah, he showed flashes here and there. But like this guy right now, like you can't even think about taking him out of the lineup. This guy's gonna play every day. You know what I mean? Like he's been a godsend for that team. He really has been.
He's the only guy batting over 300 or close to it. I think he's what 298 now. I mean, I hate OPS, even though I know that the stat that everyone's dying
I
by.
am not a fan.
I
I'm so
like
old school.
I like people hitting the baseball. Like when I go to a ballpark and everything's changed now to OPS on the side rather than at batting average, pisses me off, especially when the OPS is so low for the Mets or was so low for the Mets. When you were going to the games in May, it was like, oh, this is embarrassing. Now you got Alonso over 800. You got Lindor close to 740, whatever it is. Listen, we're good. And here's another thing, by the way, for people to realize how good the Mets are right now. Baseball as a whole has been down, number wise, OPS wise. The Mets were so bad; they were one of the lowest teams in the league, and they jumped up to I don't know if they're like a 10th or ninth or whatever it is, but they're maybe top 10 now. And the league average, I think, is like 700, and they're like well above them. So
Yeah.
they made incredible strides over this past month.
Lindor in the leadoff spot, I think, has been a huge factor in that too. And I saw something last night when I was watching the game with my wife, and I looked at his average. I'm like, is he 247? This dude was hitting like 150 like 4 weeks ago. Now he's up to 247. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look that great now, but considering where he was to where he is now is incredible.
Yeah, but Jim, you know what? Like, dude, we talk about this all the time with BT and Sal. Like, at least I get into this argument all the time. He starts so slow. You've expected this, and I understand it sucks because last year the team started so slow and ended bad. The Mets started slow and bad this year again too. But if you just are positive and you have the talent around you, You could turn it into what it is right now. It's a 500 team and make it into a positive. And when, as long as you stay afloat, when he does come alive, he will help this team. That's what they did in 2022, and that's what he's doing right now. The guy's going to be another 30-30, probably 30-30-30 again with 30 home runs, 30 doubles, 30 stolen bases. I mean, that's a rarity these days. Guy's freaking so good. It just sucks, like you said, it sucks that he starts so slow.
Right. And one thing I love about Lindor, he doesn't give enough credit for is his defense. He is an unbelievable shortstop. I mean, like the dude's a vacuum. Like every once in a while you kind of see him make a misstep here and there, but like he makes every single routine play look like it's easy. He really does.
Well, and that's because of his range, and a lot of people forget about that. So he's so good, he's got so much range to him that when he does make an error, and if something does go wrong, it's like, oh well, look at the play he made, look at the play that didn't go well for him. Well, if he didn't have as much range, he'd never be near the ball, but he's able to get to him. I mean, again, and I still look at the play. I forgot who it was that they were playing, but he made a sick grab, backhanded the ball to, I think it was McNeil at second base or
Yes, it
whatever it
was
was.
McNeil.
And me and my youngest were watching the game. I had to rewind it for him because he's like, "Can I see that again? That was sick." Like that's Lindor at his best. And
Absolutely.
you're right. He doesn't get he didn't get a Gold Glove last year. You're telling me there was better shortstops than him defensively? My ass.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And just, not that, listen, defense isn't the sexy, stat or anything like that, but you and I both as coaches and as, people with young children that watch the game from a different lens because we're trying to kind of, as our kids are watching, kind of see the fundamentals of how the game is. That's why I love Keith so much when he starts talking about fundamentals. It's so great.
The fundies.
Alonzo, he's another guy that he had the bad reputation when he came up. He's a butcher. He's this. He's that. I would argue the fact that Alonzo is probably, I would say, top maybe 4 defensively in all of baseball at first base. Listen, I can't think of any guy. Maybe Matt Olson kind of jumps off. Goldschmidt's kind of getting a little long in the tooth now, so he's not really that as impressive as he was, say, 5 to 10 years ago. Give me another guy defensively that's as good as Pete Alonso. I'm
I,
sorry, like he's another guy.
yeah, you can't. You must listen to the Rico Bronya podcast because that's all me and Evan do are talk and praise Pete Alonso for how good his defense is. And listen, again, I'm not sitting here saying he is, Keith Hernandez.
No, no.
I'm not saying that at all. But for example, like there was a play, I think it was yesterday, or I forget which game it was. I think it was yesterday's game where he made a sick grab. Everything was perfect. He made the throw to the pitcher at first base, and pitcher just took his eye off the ball and hit him in the head. And it's like Pete Alonso did everything perfect, and the ball got dropped. No one will look at that play and be like, "Wow, that was a great play by Alonso. Pitcher screwed that up." Whatever. If there's an error, they'll be like, "Oh, well, Pete. What did Pete have to do with it? Pete didn't make that play well." It's everything that Pete Alonso does. It's always the excuse of, "Well, he's so awkward. He makes it look tough, but it's really routine." I'm sorry, but that's just people that aren't paying attention and aren't watching and don't want to give him his credit because the guy has worked on his craft. The way that he works on his hitting, he works on his defense, and I know that there's times you want to hyper focus on one play where, hey, there's a rundown, it didn't go so well, he throws the ball away. Yeah, it's gonna happen to everybody. Everyone gets errors in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody does. Everybody makes that one bonehead play here and there, even the very best. Every so often, you know what? You just make a mistake. We're all human beings at the end of the day. So I want to talk about you for a little bit, okay? People might not realize this, but you didn't always work in sports. You had a prior career before, jumped on to when you were working with FAN. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I didn't know what I was gonna do in my life, right? Like, so I loved music. I wanted to be in a band, thought I was gonna be like a rock star. So, when I was in college, a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, dude, you should try to get an internship." So I decided to take an internship, um, with K Rock, at 923 K Rock, home of Howard Stern, Kane, Cabby was on air at the time. This guy, Chris Booker, Julie Slater, all those DJs from back in the day. So that's where I started out, and I was there for about 7 years. We flipped formats a few times, but I was there for Stern. I was there for when Opie and Anthony came over. Um, I was there when we flipped back to rock radio after we were done with the talk radio experiment, and then I was eventually there for a few years when just before Nick Cannon took over, I left, but that was in 2009. So about 7 years I worked in music radio, and I loved it. I lived at these concert venues. I lived at like Roseland, Hammerstein. I went to MSG for all these huge shows. We put on these huge shows. Whether it was at Jones Beach,
Right.
Prudential, what you name it, I was at venues all the time. It was incredible, dude. I'm such a music guy that I was all about it. It was incredible. It was awesome.
Who was the coolest rock star you ever met? First.
It's tough, man, because I mean, I think the most significant one to me is Scott Weiland
Okay.
because it was a weird experience when I met him. He was coming in. They were playing a show for us a few hours afterwards. It was one of those ones where we were playing at PNC
Okay.
and they didn't get there till like the show. They were supposed to go on at 9 and they didn't go on till like 10:30, and they like spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, not even hundreds of thousands, but at least $100,000 of fines because they went on after they were supposed to. The show was supposed to end and they stepped on stage. So that's how long they made people wait.
Wow.
And PNC has those rules where it's like after every minute passed, you got to pay like X amount of money. So regardless, that morning, Scott Weiland came into the studio, and it was just me and him. And I was setting up a camera because one of my hosts were going to talk to him and interview him. And one of the songs came on. I forgot which song it was, but it was just me and him, and he just started to like turn to me and just talk freely, like I was going to interview him, whatever. And I'm just setting up a camera, but he's
Right.
like, "Hey, the people think that this song was," and I forget what he said, but he was just explaining to me this song, and in particular, there's certain details about it, and I just was like, Scott Weiland's talking to me, having a conversation, like I care, and I like Scott Weiland. I love his music, but like he doesn't realize that I'm just like I'm trying to make sure my camera is
Right.
rolling and
Right.
make
Right.
sure
Right.
that I'm not screwing stuff up. So that was kind of like a cool moment. But like I've met so many people, I forget them.
Right. Of course.
I've met Jared Leto. I've met my favorite band is the Deftones, so Chino
Okay.
Moreno. One of my and R.I.P. to Cabby. You might know him as Crazy Cabby.
Yeah.
I don't call him crazy. I don't call him crazy because he always said his friends would call him Cabby. He hated that name Crazy, so I let go of that. But
Right.
he was a big Deftones fan too. So we were at a show once, and he introduced me to Chino Moreno. I'll never forget it. That's like my
That.
vocalist that I used to follow, stuff like that all the time. So, and I could go down a list like of all these artists, all these like Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow was one of the first shows I ever did, like a live broadcast we did. We did like a was it the Oscars or Emmys, whatever it was, whatever
Right.
award show it was. They're sitting down talking to one of the hosts. I'm just like, this is crazy that I'm here right now with these people. It's just nuts. So I've met many.
Listen, how I feel about you right now, Pete. I mean, listen, I'm sitting with the great Pete Hoffman. This is awesome. Come on, man. This is fantastic.
No. That's how I feel about you, Jim.
Oh, stop. Stop it. Come on. Listen, you're funny. Brandon Tierney and Salicata seem like
Yes.
two of the coolest dudes on the planet. I'm a huge fan of the show. Okay, I really am. I listen to it pretty much every single day, just because with my work schedule and kind of how that whole thing kind of balances out, it's always in that range of 10 to 2 where I always put you guys on. And I love the dynamic between the three of you. Okay, because I don't think you get enough credit for what the contributions you bring to the show as well. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's to me, it's radio, just it's gold, dude. It's fantastic.
Well, thank you. They are an amazing duo, and I remember when, obviously, like BT was with Tiki for all those years, and Sal was doing, all the solo stuff, and he worked with Jerry sometimes and filled in and whatnot. But I remember when the show was happening and they announced that it was going to happen, and we all sat down, and Spike looked at me, goes, this is gonna work, man. Like I'm telling you right now, people think that it's just gonna be chaos, it's gonna just be explosion. I'm telling you, these guys, they're not gonna bump heads in a way where you think that in a way where it's gonna be ugly. It's just gonna be brilliant. I'm telling you, and I guarantee it. So I was like, I bought into it. And honestly, from jump, the two of them have been better than advertised. I know that's crazy to say because um, they were advertised, I think, pretty heavy of going to be a chaotic show, but they've been better than that, man. It's like it's controlled chaos in a way where these two guys are just passionate about their sports, passionate about their opinions, and what they do, even though it's feels like there's like an ego or machismo behind it. It is so amazing when these two go head to head in their battles, and at the end of the day, they shake their hands and laugh and just have a good time. And that's what sports is about. It's about the debate. It's about which team do you like? What do you like more? What do you want? Who do you want traded? Who do you want to keep? And all that. And that's what we do on a regular basis. And that's what they do. And it's freaking awesome.
Oh, it's the best. It really is the best. And I love the fact that like they don't really like the same team. You know what I mean? Besides the Knicks, obviously. But the
Yeah.
fact that they don't like, you know what I mean? One's a Yankee fan, one's a Mets fan, one's a Jet fan, and whatever Sal is now. I mean, he says he doesn't watch the Falcons anymore, but I mean, okay, whatever you are, then that's who you are. But I love the dynamic. I love how they play off each other. I love all the different kind of nuanced things that the three of you all do. And I got to be honest with you, my favorite part of the show, you're going to laugh about this. I love when they start talking about old school wrestling. I love it. I
Oh my
absolutely love
God.
it. Oh, I do. I love it. The old '80s wrestling stuff. Oh my gosh, I wore my Mega Powers T-shirt tonight. Okay, that's what I should have done, but hey, that's for another time. But I want to
So,
talk.
oh, can
Okay,
I just say something? Because
yeah, of course.
that's funny. Funny you say that. Did you see them dress up in their Goldberg and Throwing the Clown? I was originally gonna go with the Mega Powers because I just wanted to see BT as Hulk Hogan and Sal as Randy Savage. I thought that would have been brilliant, but I just couldn't do it.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. There's a picture floating around of me and my daughter, and I have my daughter on my shoulder like Miss Elizabeth. So I got to find that picture. She had to be like 7 or 8 years old at the time.
Did
But
she have a crown on her head too?
no, it was just some like we just took it in the house one day. I just had her on my shoulder like she was Miss Elizabeth, and it was just the coolest thing.
That's awesome.
So you have small children just like I do, and I know
Yeah.
that you are a coach, and I know that you guys are very involved with your little league. And my question for you is this: people know who you are. You do have name notoriety around, wherever it is that you go. How difficult is that now to navigate that with all the other aspects that kind of come along as being a coach and developing young kids?
Oh, that's a tough one because I do think the kids recognize who I am at times, especially in the older leagues. So when I walk around, um, just Eastchester, where I live, it's a small
Mhm.
town, so everybody knows everybody, but the kids know everybody too. So like when I walk around, my wife was joking one day. We walked to like a steakhouse around the corner from me, and
Mhm.
all the kids that play are around the corner, and they're just looking at me and like, "Oh, Coach Pete, what's up?" Respectful Coach Pete, but it's like you're like a little celebrity type of thing. And it is what it is. It's life. We all do our things, but that's part of being a small town. Um, I think there's certain levels that the kids respect it and know what you do. So they listen a little bit more. They want to be on your team. They want to participate. But when I'm coaching, I don't think about my job. I don't think about who I am because I'm nobody.
Right.
But I
But we're not a
but
middle. Come on, stop.
but no, but the reality is I'm just like you. I'm a father who is out there trying to make these kids have a good experience, but also try to help them and improve their skill set as much as possible and get them through life situations. Like we just played a game in my older son's rec league. We played a playoff game and it was a phenomenal game. Literally, my youngest explained it like this: we were winning, then losing, then winning, then losing, then winning, then we lost, and that's how the game went. But it was back and forth. It was phenomenal, and these kids were going through so many different emotions. And we had this one kid on the mound who had the ball when we lost the final lead that we had, and they were up by a run, and they had bases loaded, and I go, listen, I'm not pissed at anybody right now. Like, this is a great game. What's happened. We already lost the lead. Like, what else can you do? Just relax, calm down, figure it out. Can you do this? Can you get out of it? He's like, yeah, I can. I was like, good, that's all that matters. I don't care. And like, I'm just trying to eliminate the pressure. That's all. That's what it comes down to. Sometimes I get a little rowdy. Sometimes I'm like, guys, just get out of your own freaking head. Because it's just like, I want them to realize this is not a big deal. Like, there's going to be bigger situations in life. And I think they latch on to it. And I think that they trust me. So that's good with the older kids. Now, as far as the younger kids go, it's a different story because younger kids are just young kids and nobody listens to anything.
No,
My son is 6 years old. He stopped listening to me, and that hurts because my oldest, who is now 14, he stopped listening to me 2 years ago at 12. My youngest stopped listening to me at 6. That's tough because there's so much more baseball ahead of him, and I can't do anything about it. So I got to pass them on other people. That's tough.
I am in the same boat with you when it comes to that. Thankfully, my 14-year-old still does listen to me somewhat, somewhat, but he's at that age where he knows everything. That's fine. But he's he, my 6-year-old, I learned very, very early that he probably is better off with somebody else instead of me. So I think he's in phenomenal hands with the coaches that I know that he's with. And to see the progress in him, I could never do what they did. And you know what? I couldn't be happier with just the development of him just as a kid. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's great that he's playing sports and he's getting pretty good at it. But the fact to see him as just a good kid, that's what we all strive for as coaches, especially me. And to kind of your point, Pete, about like with the recognition, there's nothing better. Let me rephrase this. The greatest thing for me is being around my wife and kids. Okay. The second greatest thing for me is that when I see one of the kids that I've coached and they just walk up to me and say hello because they know how much I care about them and how much I care about what they're doing and I care about where they're going. And to me, that's what it's all about. There's not a price tag on that whatsoever.
Yeah, it's funny because I keep on threatening to stop coaching because I'm like, my oldest doesn't really care what I say anymore, and that's not true because he does. He wants me to coach. He always asks me to coach. And then my youngest wants me to be around too. So and then on top of that too, it's the other kids like you said too. Like they keep on saying they want me to come back and they want me to coach them. They want me to draft them. They want this, that, the other thing. It's like I don't want to let these kids down. I love these kids. Like I legitimately, it's almost tough to even play against, especially the rec leagues. It's tough to play against other teams because I'm like, I'm rooting for everybody. Like I'm rooting for the other kid on the mound that's striking my kids out. Go, that was a good pitch. Good job. Like you want to be motivating. Obviously, you want your team to know that you got their back. But it's these kids are all good kids, and it starts with you, Jim. You know what I mean? Like if you're a good leader, the kids are going to respect you and going to respect how to play the game the right way, and that's on us. And I want to send that message. I don't want to be out there. I don't want to be creating bad habits. I do like to try to win games, but my priority is not to be like a jerk about it. I'm not going to be. I know some people that sit there and will run up scores in a rec game where it's like these kids. Some of them have never played baseball before.
Right.
Like, what are we trying to do?
Yeah. What are we accomplishing by doing that? I totally agree with 100%.
If you told me, hey, listen, we're gonna give a warning to somebody because we've had this experience, and I don't care. I'm not gonna blow anybody's name up, but like my 6-year-old played in a game where he's in an upper level a little bit more. Like I think he's so smart intellectually, physically, he's defensively okay. Batting needs a little bit more help, but his intellect is so good that I moved him up a little bit. So but not everybody's at that level, even in that league. So it's an 8U team. It's a good team, good bunch of kids, and one kid ran through the bag, got safe, and just not knowing, just turned towards second base, but not making an attempt to go to second base, but just turned that way and then walked back to first base. And the kid tagged him, and the coach on the other side was like, "Oh, he's out."
Yeah.
And I'm like, just relax. Like, can we talk to him and let him understand what he did? Because he has no idea why you're calling him.
So I wanted to talk to you. You're a big MMA guy, huge MMA guy.
Yes.
We got to talk about Conor McGregor. We just got to talk about Conor McGregor because you know what? Like there's a lot there with him that I don't think people kind of realize. That to me, it's like reliving the downfall of Mike Tyson.
Mm.
I really feel like he was at a level where he was untouchable, and then he either got too comfortable with his personality, his persona, his lifestyle, and didn't really care more about fighting. But when he got back in and got knocked out, that's when I think it all changed.
Oh, I think it changed before that. And,
Okay.
and let me give you some background on this. So, one thing about fighters is that they need to have, especially MMA fighters. Yeah, listen, boxers are the same way too. So it's not just either one or the other, but they need to, because it's such an individual, I don't want to say game, but it's an individual sport that you're going into the cage and you're basically putting yourself out there. You need to be confident in what you do. And that was the one thing that Conor McGregor was. He was always confident when he stepped into that cage. And as he grew in popularity and success, his entourage grew. And he continued to surround himself around people that made him feel like he could do whatever he could, especially in the cage. And that's kind of something that a lot of people want around them, because the negativity that when it comes in, whether it's a guy that's lost a couple fights, whatever it is, it could get you. Talk to Alexander Volkanovski, who said after his last loss to Islam, he's like,
Makachev. Yeah.
yeah, he's like, I had to get back in the cage. Like, I just had to do it, because if I didn't fight, like, I was going to start going crazy. Like, there is a battle with these fighters, with downtime, with not surrounding yourself with the right people. So for Conor specifically, I know it for a fact, he had so many people that lifted him up, that eventually got to this point where he could do no wrong. Everything he did was, hey man, you're Conor McGregor, you do what you want. And that's gotten him to the point where now led to a lot of success. But on the other hand, it's now gotten to the point where you can't deal with the losses. You can't deal with how to train properly. You can't deal with a lot of stuff that goes with being committed to fighting, because it's gone so far the other way. Hey, you're a movie star, you're a rock star, you're this, you're that, the other thing. You can get away with the law pretty much. I mean, he's gotten in trouble many times, and really, what it's been all slaps on the wrist. So he's got away with everything. And listen, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not saying whatever, but this is what celebrity status does to a lot of people, and especially fighters. And so for someone like him, yeah, you're right. Like, definitely his first, getting knocked out that first time by Poirier was nasty. That definitely put him in a different world. But I think it started before that, as far as his downfall went.
Makes sense. I mean, have you ever got a chance to talk to him or interview him or anything?
I talked to him at least once, if I maybe twice. I know I did it once with him and Floyd Mayweather. We spoke very briefly for that red carpet. They both came around. He was cool, whatever. He was fine.
Right.
I've never been the biggest Connor fan. I love what he did for the sport, but I always said he was like a conqueror. He was like, he just wanted to win. He never really wanted to master it. He just wanted to be victorious and move on. So,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I mean. He never what belt did he defend? Think
Hey,
about that.
I can't think of any. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
it's
You're
it's
absolutely
it's
right.
it's crazy. So
You know what? That's a great point. I mean, really, I mean, he was the first two-time, two-division champion, but did he ever defend it? I don't think you're
no,
right. I don't think he ever did.
no, he
Unreal.
didn't. He walked away. He went right to Floyd. Um, And that was that, man. And then after that, he came back. The title had already been given to somebody else. He has that Cowboy Cerrone fight,
Yeah,
which was
yeah,
whatever. And then the Poirier stuff started going downhill, man.
yeah, you're right. Listen, that I'll never forget that night because again, watching with my wife, we're watching the fights, and after that whole thing happened, he's sitting there and he's running his mouth. The first thing I thought of was Clubber Lang. It's the first thing I thought of. It was Clubber Lang all over again. I'm like, I feel like I'm watching, Rocky 3 in my house right now. Unbelievable.
No, yeah, no.
Right.
I listen again. I do respect what he did for the sport. I respect for how he, really rose so quick and how he set out to do all these things and he accomplished them. Um, and I just wish he was still more dedicated to UFC. He's dedicated to a lot of other things. He's dedicated to being a whiskey guy, an actor, all this other stuff, being a socialite, which is all good. It left the UFC a little bit in shambles for a second, but I mean, listen, they've recovered. They got ton of talent out there.
Who's your favorite guy to watch right now? Who's your guy?
Who's my favorite guy right now? It might be Sugar Shane O'Malley. I mean, Sugar Sean. He's phenomenal. Um, I love Israel Adesanya. Like that's my guy. I love when he first came in the cage. Just seeing him, how he rose real quick. I loved Cody Garbrandt. That's another guy that I just couldn't get enough of. If there's one other person though that I really have to like, that's an outside the box one. I love Matt Favola, and he's a local guy, so I gotta give him love. Favola's the man, dude. Like again, you throw him out there, he's gonna throw down with the best. Um, Saint Denis is a really good fighter. It was a shame to see him lose. By the way, shout out to Matt Favola and his wife that he just had his first kid with her
Oh, congratulations.
today.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. So Long Island's own Matt Favola. So he's a guy. He's a guy that I love. Um, but there's so many good fighters. It's all about like styles and the approaches and stuff like that. I can't name one. I mean, it'd be crazy to leave like Max Holloway out of there too. After the way he fought Justin Gaethje was just freaking nuts.
I
But you
love
love it. You love him. You like Michael Chandler. Like that's why the Michael Chandler Conor McGregor fight. People are like, oh, this is going to be amazing. Conor's going to crush him. I'm like, yo, Michael Chandler is no joke.
Don't sleep on Michael Chandler. Like this dude's got a resume. Like don't sleep on this dude. Like
Yeah,
he can hurt you. Yeah,
he almost took out Dustin Poirier, and that's why I love MMA because styles make fights, and there's no such thing as MMA math. Dustin Poirier, he beat Connor, but he almost lost to Chandler. Chandler almost took him out. I mean, Chandler can't beat Islam. It's just like
yeah.
it's just all over the place, and
Love it.
I love it, man. It's
Man,
never
same
ending
here,
with me.
man. I love it. I love watching the fights. I love the strategy that goes behind the fighting, and then how a wrestler can fight a striker, who fights a kickboxer, and fights this person. All of that I love. And right now, I'm a big Alex Pereira guy. I love him. I
You
do.
do.
I love him. He's so dangerous. You know what I mean? Like you just know anytime this dude either throws a punch or a kick, and if it connects in the right spot, lights out. It's over. You know what I mean? It's ending now. I mean, I love that guy.
Well, that's a scary thing. That's like if you saw the fight with him and Sean Strickland, right? Like
Yeah,
it was a quick fight, but Strickland's sitting over there and he just jabbing him and he's taking his time. He's like he thinks he's working him up, and then
right.
Pereira out of nowhere just boom done. Same thing with Jamal Hill. Like I was a little disappointed with that fight because this is what I said, and I know some people disagree with it. I felt that the stoppage kind of set Pereira up to land a punch, or land a strike on Hill, and he didn't expect it. And that's happened before. I'm a big Andre Arlovsky guy. He's won a fight like that where a ref came in, paused it for a second, like, all right, okay, you guys ready? Okay, cool, fight.
Yeah.
And then Arlovsky comes with a strike, and that's 99 for his opponent. So I think it was a little shady, but for the most part, too. Like I mean, we were at the MSG fight where he took out Israel Adesanya, and my kid was crying, and I love him, and it's not to be like joke about it, but like, dude, that was so disappointing.
Right.
As an Izzy fan, to
Yeah.
see your guy get taken out like
Yeah,
that, it was
it's hard.
unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I get it. Trust me, especially like when you root so hard for someone and to kind of see them fall. But the best thing about that is the comeback. You know what I mean? It's having that comeback of the redemption. You know what I mean? And he got his redemption. And listen, I They can fight 5 more times. I'll pay to watch all 5. Seriously, like it's that good. You know what I mean? And listen, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Jersey's own. That's right, Ocean County, New Jersey, stand up, Frankie Edgar.
Oh,
I'm a huge Frankie Edgar guy. Like, I mean, listen, of course, because we're similar, like where he was, where he grew up and where I grew up. So anybody around there, like, I'm always gonna have a soft spot in my heart for him. Seriously.
Frankie Edgar is the man. I've met him, interviewed him many, many times. Actually, one of the first fights I ever went to was I don't remember if he was on the main card or the prelims, but we were at Prudential Center for one of the cards, and I just remember it must have been like a relative because they were just like Frankie, Frankie, and I told him that the first time I met him, I was like, dude, I must have been near somebody of yours because they were just loving you. But he's somebody that I grew to just a nice guy, just so open, so humble, and his end of the career was so heartbreaking to me
Yeah. Yeah.
because and that's the tough thing about MMA when you do like somebody and then you see them get taken out, especially the way that Edgar did
Yeah, he
with
did.
was it Cheeto Vera, I think did he fake was it Brian Ortega that he fought too that took him out. There was a couple guys that really
I remember the Cheeto Vera fight.
the Cheeto Vera was
Yeah,
the kick, but then I think I want to say there was somebody I want to say he went up to 145 to face
drawing a
Ortega at
blank.
one point in
Yeah,
time.
I'm drawing
And
a blank.
it was the couple of the last few knockouts was so bad. Like it was hard to watch because not because I'm like, oh, he shouldn't be in the cage with those guys. No, it's like, dude, that's your boy right there. Even
Right,
though
exactly.
I'm not
Listen,
friends with him, but like I've interviewed him, I got to know him enough, and he's awesome. So to see him getting taken out, it's like it pulls something from you, dude. It's
oh,
tough.
100%. Yeah. I mean, listen, just like anybody, any one of your heroes that you see kind of at the end, but you know what they were and now what they are now. And it's just like, I want to remember the good times. But you know what? You can't, I don't fault anybody for doing what they need to do if you love it or it's something, even if it's like something to a financial gain to it or anything like that. Do what's right for you, regardless of what that is. Do what's right for you. And
No
you know,
question.
yeah, that's what Frankie did. And you know what? I have nothing but love and respect for the man. I really, really do. Pete, seriously, I can't thank you enough for this. Dude, I can do hours with you. I can sit down and go have a drink with you. I can do anything. Like honestly, like you're such a cool dude that I appreciate you more than you really ever understand. And for you to take a chance on me as somebody who's really kind of starting to kind of cut their teeth in the business and starting to really kind of find my way a little bit into doing this for, for a living, hopefully. I can't thank you enough for spending time with me and just kind of, like I said, shooting the breeze and just having a good time.
Listen, just don't forget me when you make it bigger, right?
Oh,
That's all
stop.
I
You know what? Don't. Come on. Like, stop. Like, listen, all I'm trying to do is, maybe somehow parlay this into a little something where I can be home more with wife and kids. That's really all this is all about. You know what I mean? So listen,
Listen,
thank you. I mean, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you so much. And listen, you're a friend now. So like anytime you want to come on, you want to talk MMA, we will talk whatever you want to talk about. I'm all you gotta do is reach out, brother. I'm right here.
Jim, it's my honor. And like I said, dude, this was awesome. Um, we got to get together. We have to have a drink together. Are you a whiskey guy? You a beer
So
guy? What are you?
you're gonna laugh. Now listen, I'm a cold beer guy. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm not particular. But if I had to go to, it's champagne.
Oh my God.
Champagne. That's right, champagne, dude. I'm a big champagne guy. Like when you kind of get around me, kind of I'm hanging out with the family and stuff. They laugh at me because I'm like I'm holding around a bottle of champagne. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, my house.
You
What
put
do you want?"
Dom Perignon? What are we drinking?
No, come on. Listen, I ain't got your money. I ain't got no Pete Hoffman money. Listen, I
I
got
don't have it either.
the $9 bottle at the liquor store down the street. That's what I got. God, that's what I'm walking around.
Oh man, listen, we'll pop a bottle next time
I'm
around.
in,
All right.
dude. I'm in. Listen, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And listen, we'll talk soon, okay? All right, man. All right, guys, we are back here on the all around. Again, Pete Hoffman is one amazing individual. I tell you, he couldn't have been nicer to me. But I got to be honest with you. I got somebody here right now who We talked about maybe doing this for fun maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, but now it's come to fruition. He is somebody that I affectionately call my nephew. Okay. He knows more sports than any 16-year-old in the country. I'm telling you right now, I'll put his knowledge up against any other person's knowledge, adult or child, right now. I guarantee you he knows more sports than you. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my co-host, the man who will be on this show quite a bit, okay? The Robin to my Batman, the boy wonder, Mr. Philadelphia, Nick Grasselli is here. What is going on, my man?
What's up?
Nothing. What's going on with you, bro?
Nothing much.
All right, listen, let's get right into Philadelphia. All right, listen, your Sixers have been active. Okay,
Yeah. hmm
George. Okay, you re-signed Maxey, Drummond. There's probably more moves coming, dude. Floor's yours. Go get them.
Yeah, their moves I think have been good considering what they've been able to have to do. Their roster was nothing, and they have a lot of salary cap, and they used it. Paul George, Kelly Oubre, re-signed Maxey, Drummond. They still have money left. I think they definitely had to get a power forward. They have nobody. There's definitely options out there. I think they have like 9 million to spend, and then if you put Paul Reed in a trade, which they don't need him anymore, more money, probably 15, 20 million dollars left. But I think there's a lot of options out there. Not in free agency, but for trade. Um, there's a option Nets, Jordan Finney-Smith. That's an option. You'd fit great. Don't need someone that scores a lot, just defends and can pass. So yeah, I think free agency. Kyle Anderson's an option, but not great. But he can play, at least start for them. Otherwise, just fill the roster out with older guys on minimums and roll it out. I think it would be good.
Wouldn't shock me if Alec Burks ends up with Philadelphia. You know, he's the kind of guy that
Again,
would stay over
go
there. As much
back.
as I want to keep him with my team, I have a feeling that he might end up going to Philadelphia. And listen, I agree with you 100%. Philly made moves. I don't want to say out of desperation, but they made moves to kind of catch up with the rest of the Eastern Conference. And now, I don't know if you saw this, Mitchell just re-signed for big money. Did you see that one?
Did he? Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it was 3 years,
yeah, 3 for 150 he
150.
just got from Cleveland.
Yeah, he had
Yeah,
a player option. I think the third year too.
yes, he does. So
Interesting.
everybody's starting to try and catch up now. Okay.
Yeah,
I love what Philly did. I get the Paul George move, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think it was a reach. He's still a good
yeah.
player, but he's, what's he? I'm off the top of my head, 34,
I think he's
35.
34, 30. I think he's
Yeah.
34. Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, you're paying, a big contract to a guy who's going to be in his mid to late 30s by the end of that contract. I don't know. The Maxi thing, it's a no brainer. The guy is
yeah.
proving himself to be, in my opinion, the top 10 player in the league and the fastest player in the league. I mean, who's going to catch him in the open court? I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there. And listen, you just need Embiid to stay healthy. And I know that's a big question mark, but when he killed my team on one leg. He literally did. He killed my team on one leg. And if he was healthy, I don't think the Knicks get past Philly. I really don't. The way they played and the way Embiid just manipulates his body to get call after call after call. He had Hartenstein in foul trouble every game. And then when Robinson gets hurt, they were in serious trouble. And thankfully, they got through it and they were able to kind of get past Philly. But I would be scared of a very healthy Philly team. I really would.
I think hopefully they'll be healthy because there's a lot of injury potential now with him and Embiid. But I think it was a desperate move because they had no other options and they couldn't run it back and risk another season. Um, but I think they can contend if they just fill the roster out and make sure they get role players that can play in the playoffs and give them hope.
I think it's going to be us. I think it's going to be you. I think it's going to be Boston. And maybe just pick the fourth team. Milwaukee, I'm not so crazy about. I'm not crazy about Miami anymore unless they make a move. I'm not crazy about the Clevelands or the Indianas or any of those teams. I think they're middle of the road, good teams, but not that upper level where I think now, the Boston's are. And you know what? My team, we talked about this privately. The Hartenstein move killed them. That
Yeah.
that hurt them bad. And Now they really don't have very much. I mean, they have center depth, but they don't have a guy like Hartenstein who was able to move the ball from the post. And I think they got a lot of their offense and they ran a lot of it through him. And he was able to find the open guy, constantly, with guys cutting and moving. He was able to find those guys for just easy buckets. And listen, Mitchell Robinson can't catch. Okay. He is a liability on the offensive end. Defensively, the guy's amazing, but offensively, he is challenged. So he doesn't fit anymore. Jericho Sims, you've seen flashes of him. I think he's a productive player, but I think he kind of does what Mitchell Robinson does. I think there's a trade coming. Like, I really do. I think there's a trade coming. I think they know what they need, and they know they probably couldn't have re-signed Hartenstein. So now they're going to have to kind of rethink this and use maybe Robinson, maybe even Julius Randle, to package somebody. I think a guy to watch out for, and a guy that I was kind of thinking about the other day. Oh, there's my microphone. We'll fix that. There we go. A guy I was really thinking about, DeAndre Ayton. He's a guy that I think is available now. I know he's coming off an injury, but Portland's just drafted Donovan Clayton. They're not drafting him to sit on the bench. Ayton's a former #1 pick. He's a guy that's got untapped potential, but I don't know if he's the guy that maybe does the role that Hartenstein does. He's not as tough. And I don't think he's as good of a passer as him, but he can score and he can catch lobs. He can do other things. So that's a possibility. Maybe Minnesota wants to break it up. Maybe Towns has been something that they've talked about for years, and it's never happened. But we'll see about him. And some other bigs you kind of, off the top of your head. I mean, there's guys out there. I would have liked Valanciunas. I thought Valanciunas would have been a nice fit for the Knicks too, but he ended up, I think, where did he end up?
Wizards.
Yeah, Washington. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, they need that offense defense kind of like two-headed monster at center, and I think they'll eventually get there. They're just not there now. So, and then we kind of just see where it goes. All right.
Yeah,
No, go.
I think they need a center. Obviously, I don't know. Maybe they get someone in free agency, like a lower guy, and hope for something.
Who's out
But
there?
otherwise, I don't know. There's not
Yeah,
much
that's the
out
thing.
there.
Yeah, there's
But
not much there. So I think the
yeah,
trade's the way to go, and I think
I think
that
a trade. Yeah.
all right. I think that's got to be, again, what it's going to be. I mean, again, it's just going to be what it's going to
Yeah.
be right now. If they stay
Mhm.
as is, I think they're again just the middle of the road team. If they can figure out a way to get a guy that can pair with another guy, even if it's Sims and somebody or Robinson and somebody, but it can't be Sims and Robinson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, your Phillies, dude. Your Phillies are in trouble. They're in trouble. I mean, they're getting injury after injury after injury. Like it's not looking good for them.
Yeah. I think they just hopefully have to roll out guys that can hopefully get them somewhere until they come back. I think Schwarber's coming back against Dodgers in like 7 days or something. And then Harper maybe All-Star break, same as Ramuto. And then you see what goes on in the trade deadline coming up at the end of the month. Hopefully they need someone else. I think an outfield bat would be the most important for them. Like, I think, yeah. Or any type of bat. They can just play. But if they get an outfield bat that fits perfect, they can play the outfield. It would fit good for them.
You think Trout's in play?
If he made less money, yeah. But I think his contract's too big and they wouldn't want that.
I don't know. I agree with you about the outfield bat. They definitely need one. Who's the guy? Rosarena's out there. I mean, I don't know if Tampa's ready to move him, but again, I'd be afraid. I'd be afraid to deal with Tampa Bay because for some reason they figure out how to make trades better than you. So I'm
Yep.
staying away from them. I don't know who that guy is. I haven't identified that person. I think that the Phillies do need another starter. I like listen, Ranger Suarez is having an amazing year. How can you not love Zach Wheeler? Aaron Noah always kills the Mets. Kyle Walker's a liability, especially towards the end of the regular season. I was never the biggest fan of him. And the young kid, I know they signed him to a deal. But I still think they're a starter away. I think they need that swing guy who's not Taijuan Walker to be that guy. And everybody needs bullpen help. Everybody can use an extra arm or two, especially when you're making a run. I think those bullpen pieces, especially in today's baseball, is very, very important. I mean, you saw it last night with the Met game. I don't know if you watched the Met game last night.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so the Met game last night. So, we're taping this on Tuesday. So we're talking about Monday night's Met game. Okay. Mets are up 9-3 going into the 10th inning. They score 6 runs in the 10th. Washington comes back and scores 4 more and had the winning run at the plate. And I think the Mets used 2 pitchers in the 10th inning. But they overall, I mean, Peterson had a great game. He pitched phenomenal. But then the bullpen, like, you hold your breath, and it's every team. Every team you're doing this. There's no lights out guy anymore where you can say, okay, when this dude comes in, he's going to just shut the door. It's not like that anymore. It's just not.
Yeah, our pitching against the Marlins, even our starting, our bullpen, all kind of struggled against the Marlins, one of the worst teams in the league. And some of these guys are so good, and then they just kind of just give up runs, and it's like there's nothing you can do about it. They're good players, but they give up runs, and it's just what it is. You have to
Dude,
deal with
everybody
it.
gives up hits. Like, it's just
Yeah,
one of those deals. Like, everybody gives up hits. Everybody's going to give up runs. It's just a matter of hoping and praying that in that moment, your guys can get 3 out. Seriously. I mean, that's the way
yeah,
it's been. And I think the summer is going to be fun. I think the Phillies they're struggling right now, obviously dealing with injuries, whatever, but they're going to be
yeah,
fine. They're going to win
yeah.
their division. They'll be okay. Like, they're going to make their run. They'll figure it out. The Braves, they're not the same Braves as they were, say, 2, maybe 3 years ago. The Acuna thing killed them. And I think they're more kind of treading water than anything. So they're always going to be a threat just because of who they are and the names and the guys that they have. But even if one of our teams, the Phillies, for whatever reason, kill the Braves, but the Mets, for whatever reason, can't beat the Braves. So, we'll see how that goes and how that plays out. And then my team, I don't even know what to expect. Like, I really don't. Like, it's been a roller coaster of a year with this team. Like, it's been, they get off to a terrible start, then they right the ship, and you know what? They're treading water. They're okay. Then they just go through this stretch where they can't do anything right, and then all of a sudden, you got a team meeting, and then they just take off. And now they're sitting there, a game and a half out of the wild card spot, and right in the mix of things. And honestly, I think because of this, they're not going to subtract. They're going to add. And I think Cohen is one of those guys that is a fan first guy. So regardless of what, the president wants to do, he's going to try and trump him, but doing it in a way where they're not going to affect the future.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. They can go either way. But I think the Mets, they always want to lean towards the buy than sell. I think they really didn't want to sell last year, but they kind of had
They
to.
didn't have a
They didn't have
choice. I
a
mean,
choice.
yeah, they had
Yeah,
a choice. They had Scherzer and they had Verlander that to me were just mercenary guys to begin with that weren't going to be here long term and they were older. So I'm glad they did what they did because they kind of started to restock the farm system, even though you hear about Acuna, he's not really doing that great. He's been hurt. And the other kid, Gilbert's been hurt. So, I mean, again, we'll see kind of how that goes. I know the other prospect they had, Jet Williams, has been kind of, up and down, especially at AAA, and he's been dealing with an injury as well. So they do have guys in the pipeline. But, and this is a huge but, you have 2 things looming over the Mets' head next year: Alonso and Juan Soto. Those are the 2 things that every Met fan wants to know which way they're going to go. Are they going to re-sign Alonso and then make a big push for Soto? Are they not going to re-sign Alonso and make a big push for Soto? Or are they going to try and get both? And with Cohen's money, you never know. Like, they could get both. They really could. They could really make a solid play and keep everybody around and try to just go build. But again, that's for next year. This year, though, I like Severino. He's been amazing. Manaya's been up and down. Quintana hasn't been great. Kodai Senga's supposed to come back. We'll see where that is. McGill, I mean, if I never saw Tyler McGill again, I wouldn't be upset. Peterson's been pitching very well. And then you got the Diaz enigma. Like, is Diaz going to come back after the suspension and be the Diaz of old? Or is he going to go be the Diaz from 2019? We don't know. We seriously don't know. And if they keep hitting the way they're hitting, and the best thing that the manager ever did was put Lindor in the leadoff spot. Okay. JD Martinez has been a godsend for this team. I would re-sign him right now. And by the way, I got to bring this up about JD Martinez. He may be a beard dyer. 36 years old with a full beard of brown hair. He may be a beard dyer. I'm not confirming that yet, but there's a possibility he's a beard. And again, like I don't know. I don't know. And I guess that's the fun, but yet the fear of this. What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of teams buy, and then in August they kind of go downhill. I think one of the teams is the Cubs. Like they didn't even make the playoffs, but they wanted to buy.
Right.
But if you can think that you get enough players that you can actually compete and make the playoffs and make a run, and I would go and do it. It's going to be interesting this year because a lot of teams are borderline in the NL for the wild card spot. There's like I don't even know how many teams, six
I think
teams.
at last check, Nick, I think there was like 7 or 8 teams that were like at least
Yeah,
3 games out of the wild card spot. I think the only 2 teams are like Colorado and Miami that are just like
yeah.
done, but then everybody else is like in play. So yeah, I mean, it makes for an interesting, July 31st for sure.
Because are all those teams going to really try to buy or sell? It's good. Like I don't. It's going to limit the sellers.
I agree.
Obviously, not as many teams are going to sell. So then
I
you
would have
gotta,
loved. Oh, go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
yeah, in the AL, you gotta look in the AL to get players and who's gonna be really available. There's teams, the AL East, all those teams are wanting to contend still. Maybe the Central, there's like those two teams.
The White Sox, I
Um,
think, are completely going
yeah,
to blow the whole thing up.
and then there's really not that many sellers this year, and
I'll tell you
that's
what,
what's
man.
gonna make it weird.
I would have loved to get my hands on Seth Lugo. First of all, the Mets should have never like let him go. And the only reason why they let him go is because they saw him as a reliever and not a starter. And this dude just wanted to be a starter. And he's proven everybody right that he is a starting pitcher in this league. And again, we should have saw that and we didn't. So we let him go. And now look at him. He's got like 12 wins. He's pitching great for the Royals. You know, you know how I feel about the Royals. But
Yeah,
I I would have loved to still had him. He would have been a perfect guy for this team. Innings eater. He's gritty. I like him. I've always did. I always liked him a lot. But Royals are actually in the thick of things. They're not getting rid of him. So like you're going to look at these bottom feeder teams. The White Sox is one that comes to mind. They have players, but they're going to try and just abandon ship and reload. Um, Off the top of my head, I mean, I think the Angels are one of those teams to watch out for. They're going to probably look to see and start to sell. I think obviously Oakland because of whatever's going on there. I mean, you already saw they traded JD Davis to the Yankees, and whatever assets they have, they're going to look to move. And that's really kind of what you're seeing. There's always one of those surprise moves that nobody kind of sees coming. Watch out for the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays are like this close from blowing the whole thing up. You saw it already with Kevin Biggio being let go. I think they hang on to Bichette, but I think Vlagaro's gone. As soon as you kind of start hearing and reading that, yeah, like they're talking to this, they're talking that, like when there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. If the Blue Jays sell, they can definitely get a lot of prospects back. I don't think it's gonna work. Their team right now. I think they should sell. But then it's going to be interesting. Where does Vlad Guerrero go? Maybe the Astros, first base. They need a first base.
Oh, hope
Otherwise, it's gonna be. I don't know.
Vlagaro and the Astros are scary. Like
Yeah, it is.
that's scary.
They're looking
That lineup,
good
we just
too.
saw the Astros too, dude, and like
Yeah,
they're they're back. Like everybody kind of wrote them off, and they're not playing well, blah blah blah. Like, dude, they're back. You know what I mean? Like they kicked our butts 2 games in a row. So like, I got nothing bad to say about the Astros. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a fun summer. And you know what? Right around the corner, we got training camps opening up, and then we're gonna be talking football again. Then we're gonna be talking about our fantasy football draft that we do every single year with our family. That's gonna be a big topic on our show. And also, I'm gonna be happy to announce this right now with Nick with us. Nick is going to be a regular contributor on the show. Like I said, he's going to be my co-host. And also, during the football season, Nick will be featured a lot during the football season. We're going to recap the week that was, and then we're going to talk about the week ahead, and there will be a fantasy component to that as well. And we're going to just rock, roll, and have some fun during the football season. We're going to go back and forth a lot about the Eagles and the Giants, and then talk about the other team we don't like, the Dallas Cowboys, a lot, and everything else that goes on through the NFL. For me, football Sundays are like a holiday every single Sunday during the football season. They are. I mean, they're especially like in my house, and you know this, Nick, you've been here. I'm
Yeah.
cooking. The boys are all watching the games. We got the red zone on. Like, it is just fandemonium in this place. And it's just, I wish you guys can all experience it with us because it's just so much fun on a football Sunday to sit there literally for 7 hours and just watch wall-to-wall football with everything going on. And it's just tons of fun.
Yeah, football season is one of the best times of the year. Every Sunday, you look forward to it. Watch the team. If they lose, then it's gonna be a disappointment. But if you win, then that helps your week out a little bit.
It does. I mean, you got that whole week. But listen, my team's done a lot more winning, or sorry, a lot more losing than winning lately. So those Sundays and slash Mondays, whatever, they ain't fun around here. But
Great.
my son Logan is a Chiefs fan, so I got to hear it from him every day. Oh, sir, Kelsey. I'm like, all right, great, yeah, root for another. All right, dude. Listen, thank you so much for this. It's been amazing. Get used to hearing this man's voice on this show because he's going to be featured a lot. Like I said, my co-host, right? The Robin to my Batman. This is my guy right here. Nick, you're the man. Thank you so much for this, and we'll see you next week. All right?
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Oh my God, todo lo malo échalo para allá. Oh my God, dame salud y prosperidad. No tengo nada, pero soy feliz.
The new hit single OMG from my boy Jose Iglesias. That's right, not Julio Iglesias, Jose Iglesias. That's right. The shortstop slash second baseman slash third baseman, utility guy, whatever you want to call him. The dude has been great for the Mets. His energy, you could just tell like he kind of lost his way a little bit and then finally kind of got a chance to get back, and now he's in his groove again. He just hit his first home run in a very long time. This is going to galvanize this team, I'm telling you. I love the song. I can't even lie to you guys. I love the song. I really do. Now, listen, I've never spoke Spanish a day in my life. I know the hook. I don't know what else he's saying, but it's catchy and it's fun and I love it. What else can I say? I want to thank Nick Grasselli for joining us today. I'm telling you, he is an unbelievable kid. He really is. I mean, he and we've been obviously close for a very, very long time. Just some backstory to that. My wife and his mom are cousins. So, I've been around Nick for a very, very long time. And every time we're around each other, we always talk sports. And when we talk sports, we kind of joke, we should do a podcast. We should do this. And then finally, when this whole idea of the All Around Sports podcast came to be, the first thing I thought of, I'm like, yeah, Nick's got to be my co-host. I mean, he just has to. And you can see the knowledge that, Nick brings to the table and everything that we talk about. It's basically just our real life conversations on tape. And that's the way I want it to be. And that's the way it should be. And we are just having a great time doing it. And the more we do it, the better it'll be. And then the better it'll be just more fun for everybody on board. So again, I want to say thank you to Nick. Also, Pete Hoffman, as you heard, what an unbelievable guy. Literally, like what an unbelievable guy. I have a good feeling you'll probably hear him again on this show. Let's just put it that way. And a couple things before we get out of here, I just want to say, shout out to Sunny Brae Little League, okay, in Yardville, New Jersey. I'm wearing the shirt right now, as you can see. Shout out to all those guys, all the coaches, the players, the parents. I'm a player. I'm sorry, I'm not a player, obviously. I'm a little too old to be playing Little League. But I'm a parent of my son Carter, plays for the 7U team. And the guys, I'm going to mention by name, John Leonardo, Bob Little, and the rest of the coaching staff. They've done an amazing job with those, 5 and 6 year old little guys. And it's just been so much fun to kind of watch them grow and develop. And I've been thankful enough to kind of be, around for a lot of that. So I just want to say thank you, to John and to Bob for everything they're doing for my son Carter and the rest of the kids out there. It's been so much fun to watch. And then everybody else, all the players, all the coaches, all the parents for all the older, the 8s, the 9s, the 10s, 11s, up to the 12s. We're here to support you, man, and we hope that you guys, go as far as you can possibly go. And I know that everybody has the support and the love that they need, and it's just a matter of, hopefully getting the ball bouncing the right way, and we'll see where it happens. But again, shout out to Sunny Brae Little League, Yardville, New Jersey. Stand up. All right, guys, we're out of here. We'll catch you on episode 3. And one more time before we get out of here, I just want to mention Jump Shot Gym, the one-of-a-kind basketball training facility located in Hillsborough, New Jersey. We got 8 hip hoops and the Dr. Dish shooting machines. Get the reps you need to build a consistent jump shot. That's right. My jump shot was trash. Still is trash. My wife's got a way better jump shot than I do. That's just a fact. But, hey, we live and learn, right? Build that consistent jump shot you need. Visit jumpshotgym.com. Again, jumpshotgym.com for info on shooting clinics, camps, and parties. And one more time, Brasino Home Improvements. Looking for any general contractor or repair need, contact Brasino Home Improvements for a free estimate at 609-581-5848. Again, for any contractor repairs you need, looking to do for your home and business, contact Brasino Home Improvements, 609-581-5848. We'll get you a free estimate, and hopefully we'll get some business out of it too. All right, guys, we're wrapping up. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. We'll see everybody episode 3. See you.